Yo, what's up internet? My name is Anthony, and the Raiders just played their third and most important preseason game against the Cowboys. It was a lot closer game than I thought it would be, and here are 10 observations from the game. First and foremost, the worst thing that can happen in the preseason occurred. An injury to David Amerson, the Raiders' best and most consistent corner. Amerson was a victim of friendly fire and seems to have suffered a concussion. Nobody wants anybody to get hurt in a meaningless preseason game, and this one hurts. The Raiders have plenty of problems in the secondary as is, and they can't afford to lose their best player. The concussion itself looked pretty bad, as Amerson seemed to have gotten unconscious for a period of time while laying on the field. He was able to get off the field under his own power, and hopefully he'll be okay in the long term. Now on to better news. The Raiders' offense looks to be in mid-season form. There was no reason to worry about that side of the ball, and Derek Carr looked sharp. Outside of the first drive, the first-team offense moved the ball with ease. They drove up and down the field, including a big touchdown pass from Derek Carr to Amari Cooper. That was an excellent play, with Carr pump faking and throwing the perfect pass to Cooper. On Cooper's part, he had an excellent get-off, and things were well taken care of after the pass. After that play, Jack Del Rio and the coaches had seen enough from the first-team offense, and the offense was done. The defense, to its credit, looked better. They didn't exactly have high expectations to live by with how bad they played the first two preseason games. They got beat, but didn't allow the big play, which is a step forward. The only busted play was on the touchdown to Jason Witten. Reggie Nelson bit on the run and allowed a wide open window. Carl Joseph was on coverage, but Nelson is supposed to have inside leverage. These are the kind of plays that Nelson made last year. He likes to gamble, and it creates a double-edged sword. He led the Raiders in interceptions last year, but left too many players out to dry. If the Raiders are to become a good defense, Reggie Nelson needs to understand his assignment and do his part on the defense. It looks like the base formation for the Raiders is going to be 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers. That is the formation they showed a lot of in this game. And Cook is more than effective as a receiver. He is a solid blocker, but creates mismatches in the middle of the field. Carr still relies on the wide receivers for most of his big plays, but the tight ends look like a real key this season, especially in the red zone. The Raiders didn't have the services of Corey James this game, and Marquel Lee and Jelani Jenkins started at linebacker. Tyrell Adams subbed in for Lee in sub packages, and didn't look as bad as before. They aren't good at coverage and don't stand out when on the field. Adams looked like he belonged there the most and is the best at coverage. He still got beat multiple times in the middle by Jason Witten. Witten, however, still seems to find a way to get open even at his advanced age. Tight ends are still a problem for the Raiders, but at least the tight ends weren't left all by themselves this game. Donald Penn looks like he hasn't missed a beat on the offensive line. Penn didn't start the game, but he played left tackle on the second and third offensive series. He looked good and didn't allow any pressure on Derek Carr. He knows the offense and knows how to take care of his body, so this wasn't a surprise. He has 2 practices and a walkthrough under his belt and just needs to knock off the rust. More importantly, his return allows Marshall Newhouse to play right tackle, which is what he was signed for. Now, the battle between Newhouse and Vidal Alexander can begin, and Newhouse looks like he has the first shot. Obi Melifonwu was picked on all game long. He played with the first team in a hybrid safety/linebacker role and continued playing safety throughout the game. He got picked on by the Cowboys often, but he did miss assignments or blow coverage. There were growing pains as expected, but these reps are valuable. He needs to adjust to the speed of the NFL, and he'll have plenty of time to grow as a player. Now, first-round pick Garyon Conley needs to get on the field and show his tremendous talent. The penalties need to go down. The preseason is known for a bunch of penalties, but this is ridiculous. 12 penalties for 132 yards. The Raiders are known for getting penalties, and that is another trend the Raiders have to lose. For all the talk about changing the culture since the arrival of Carr and Mack, the penalties have stayed. I'm not so much worried about the pass interference calls as I am about the holding and personal fouls. These and false starts and offsides are correctable calls, and Jack Del Rio must put an emphasis on it this time. For all the success the Raiders have had recently, shooting ourselves in the foot is not something the Raiders should have to overcome. Connor Cook looks to be the better backup quarterback than E.J. Manuel. For what it's worth, Manuel has consistently looked better than Cook in practice. Connor Cook is a gamer though. He shows up much better in games than in practice, while the opposite can be said for Manuel. Cook has led the Raiders to multiple scoring drives and even took the team down the field against the Cowboys. Manuel, on the other hand, wasn't able to move the ball and hasn't led any touchdown drives this preseason. Cook looks to be the backup, but hopefully it never comes down to that. there is still no pressure coming from the middle of the defense. For all the talk about Edwards and Vanderdoss, they really haven't done much in the preseason. Mack and Urban will get their pressure, but they need help. There was some pressure from Trayvon Hester, but there wasn't very much overall. Jahad Ward returned this game, and he looked like the player he was last year. He didn't provide any pressure and was mostly known for his penalties. If the Raiders are to step up on defense, it has to be more than Mack and Urban.